So in this video, I'm going to create the HTML template for the chat room, and there's going to be several different sections to this template. So I've created a little comment for each one so we don't get confused with what each part is doing. And the top bit is just going to be a container to keep everything into the center and also a title as well. Then we have all of those green buttons at the top for the different chat rooms, things like gaming or general. Then we have the actual chat list or the chat window, and this is where all the messages are going to be displayed on the page. Then near the bottom we'll have a new chat form, so that's the input field a user types a new message into and presses send. Then we have at the very bottom an update name form if you want to update the name that you're chatting with. So then first of all, let's do this container at the top and the title. So we need a div with a class of container and also a class of ny-4 to give this some margin in the y direction. So inside this div we need to first of all do an h1 with a class of ny4 again to give it margin in the y direction. Also text-center to centralize that text. And inside we'll just say Ninja Chat. So that's the title. Now this closing div we need to actually put to the bottom of the whole thing down here. So now we have this div which is containing everything. And in fact what I'm going to do is just bring that out one, bring this out one, and bring this out one as well, just so we have the right indentation now for the rest. Okay, so for the next lot of sections I'm actually just going to copy and paste from my GitHub repo, because I know you probably don't want to sit there and watch me for 15 minutes type out HTML. So I'm going to copy the first section first of all, which is for the buttons at the top, and I'll walk through this. So let me just paste it in and scoot this back. So we have a single div right here with a class of chat-rooms and then a margin at the bottom of strength 3. Then we have text-center to centralize everything. We have almost like a little title saying choose a chat room, and then we have 4 buttons. So each one of these has a class of button to stylize it, and each one of these has some different text. So gaming, general, music, ninjas, etc. Now the ID of each one of these also matches what channel or what chat room that is. So general, gaming, music, and ninjas. And we're going to use this ID later on to update the messages that we show when a user clicks on one of these different rooms. So if we preview this so far in the browser, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so now let's go on with the next bit, which is the actual chat list or the chat window. And that's very simple. I'm going to copy this and paste it in down here, and this is just a single div, and it has a class of chat-window, and inside we have a UL with a class of chat-list and list group. This one right here is a bootstrap class just to stylize it. So ultimately all of our messages will go inside here as li tags. Now we're not going to code any in just now, we're going to dynamically input those later on. So the next section is the new chat form. So let me grab that now from the repo and paste it in right here. Just scoot this back a bit. Okay, so this form is going to be responsible for taking in a user's message and then submitting it to the database. So we have a form with a class of new chat. We give it some margin in the y direction. Then we have an input group right here. Inside the input group, we first have something before the input, which is going to be a little bit of text to say your message. Then we have this input in itself where we actually add the message, and this has an ID of message. And then finally we have a div at the bottom to append something to the input group, and that is going to be a submit button. So if we preview this now, it's going to look something like this. Okay, that's starting to look better. And then finally we need the last form, which is to update a user's name. So let me just copy that again from the repo and paste it right here and scoot that back. So again we have a form, this time with a class of new name. That's my own class, much like this is my own class as well, so we can identify these later on from JavaScript. We give it a margin in the y direction. Again we have an input group, and inside that we prepend first of all some text. Then we have the input itself with an ID of name this time, and finally we have this input group append, which adds a button to the end to submit this. Finally, we have this div at the bottom, which is going to offer some feedback to the user once they've updated their name. So that is the HTML template pretty much complete. It looks something like this at the minute. We are going to add just a couple of styles to this in a second to make it look better. But before we do that, if you want to just get this template without writing it out yourself, make sure you go to the GitHub repo, and inside that, for the course, then select lesson 136 from the branch dropdown, and then you can download the template or even just copy it from the repo. Okay then, so now I'd just like to add a few little styles, not much. And again, I'm just going to copy these from the repo and walk you through them. So first of all, we have the container, which is sitting around everything. And we're giving that a max width of 600 pixels just to bring everything into a thinner central column. Then all of our buttons, which are the channels at the top over here, what we're doing is giving them a background of this green color, coloring the text white, giving it no outline and no box shadow. And then finally, when we have a focus state on a button, we're saying we don't want an outline. So if I save this now and preview, now we can see it looks a lot better. So that's our template done. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and connect now to Firebase.